So the name of my sermon is We Gonna Be All Right. The text comes from Jeremiah 9, verses 23 to 26. Thus says the Lord, do not let the wise boast in their wisdom. Do not let the mighty boast in their might. Do not let the wealthy boast in their wealth, but let those who boast in this, that they understand and know me, that I am the Lord. I act with steadfast love, justice, and righteousness in the earth. For in these things I delight, says the Lord. The days are surely coming, says the Lord, when I will attend to all those who are circumcised only in the foreskin. Egypt, Judah, Edom, the Ammonites, Moab, and all those with shaven temples who live in the desert. For all these nations are uncircumcised, and all of the house of Israel is uncircumcised in heart. In Jeremiah 9, we encounter a tale of privilege and oppression. The children of Israel have used their covenant and privilege to justify the oppression of the marginalized living in Judah. Yahweh sees the unjust actions of those who claim to be his children and gives Jeremiah one of the darkest death prophecies we see in the text. After damning Judah to death and destruction, he orders the women to come mourn and teach a lament. And in the final verses that were just read, we hear God say that he's going to judge Israel as they have judged and mistreated the marginalized within their community. I can only speculate what the marginalized groups in Jeremiah were thinking once they heard that more death and more destruction were coming their way. If I can, I would imagine that if they were to raise up a lament in that moment, it would share a similar sentiment to the lyrics of Kendrick Lamar's We Gonna Be All Right. All's my life I has to fight. Hard times like God, bad trips like God. If I'm messed up, you messed up, but God got us, we gonna be all right. Lamar starts off his song referencing one of the most powerful and popular lines from The Color Purple delivered by the character Miss Sophia. All's my life I has to fight. His intro perfectly captures the despair, frustration, and pain of marginalized groups trying to survive. But also in that same phase of despair, Lamar says, but if God got us, we gonna be all right. The marginalized in Jeremiah 9 had to be thinking the same thing. They had just publicly heard God denounce Israel for its poor communal values and the oppression of their people. So while there was no sign of good things to come, they were aware that God stood on their side and against injustice. Now going back to Lamar's song, as he progresses, his lyrics begin to evolve from a place of despair to a voice of empowerment, as he recounts some of the most traumatic injustices experienced by blacks in America. Wouldn't you know, we've been hurt, been down before. When my pride was low, looking at the world like, where do we go? And we hate po-po when they kill us dead in the streets for sure. I'm at the preacher's door, my knees getting weak and my gun might blow, but we gonna be all right. The people of the marginalized nations that Yahweh mentioned in this text knew hardship. They were familiar with the lament of low places and death, from the ancestors of Hagar to the Moabites who were discriminated against early on. Survival and overcoming the depression of oppression was no new challenge. And although anger may have been subdued, never have been subdued from their mistreatment, in this moment, through Jeremiah's prophecy, they came to know God as one as justice and righteousness. I can hear them chanting and they're waking up. We gonna be all right. In their daily living, we gonna be all right. And they're crying out of the injustices carried out against them, we gonna be all right. And in the denial of recognition from Israel, we gonna be all right. We see ourselves in the marginalized groups in Jeremiah 9 because they share the same fight we're still fighting today. If anything, we should look at these groups in Jeremiah and the lyrics to Lamar's song and realize our hope should never rely on the means of the offenders to bring justice, but the two consistent factors that have always showed up and showed out, one being God and the second being community. We are not wrong for feeling the anger and despair we experience. We don't deserve to be treated less than the majority. And most importantly, God does not agree with these actions and lifestyles, and he stands in support of the marginalized. So as times seem to get darker with no sight of improvement in the future, remember, we've been here before. The things that were intended for our death as a people failed. It doesn't take away from the sting of life, but we know how to survive this. It is in our blood, our ancestry, and as long as we stay together as a community and fight injustice, we gonna be all right. So to the innocent incarcerated brother, we gonna be all right. To the sisters stepping up on the front lines, being the movement, fighting for change, and the vessels of healings in our communities, we gonna be all right. To my LGBTQ brothers and sisters continuously fighting to be accepted and respected for who they are, not who they are expected to be, we gonna be all right. To the allies willing to fight against the evils of the privilege and stand with the marginalized. we gonna be all right. To the black and brown bodies walking in fear of being the next hashtag while still fighting to survive in this world, we gonna be all right. We may have to live through the destruction of this world, but we are not damned to be succumbed by it. God has got us. Do you hear me? Can you feel me? We gonna be all right.